What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Hungry Dogs podcast. For episode 3, we have a player who played 4 years at Binghamton University. He appeared in 195 Division I baseball games, posted a 319 career batting average, and earned first team All America East honors twice. He ranks third all time in hits with 236, fourth in career RBIs with 148, second in home runs with 28, and is top 5 in runs, doubles, and holds the school record with 740 career at-bats. After finishing up his collegiate career, he played in the MLB Draft League this past summer, and he's now a graduate assistant at Binghamton while also owning and running DB Precision Hitting, his online program. Please welcome Devan Bade.
Throw your hands up if you with it. Drop it.
All right, welcome to episode 3 of the Hungry Dogs podcast. Devan, how you doing, man?
How are you? I appreciate having me on.
Yeah, no doubt. So pretty much how we start each episode is I ask each guest, their upbringing and kind of like their high school recruitment experience. So when did the recruiting process really start for you, and what type of schools were showing interest?
So pretty early, I was getting looked at around, I would say, eighth grade. I played for a team called the Taconic Rangers out of New York. My grandfather was an assistant coach, so I started playing for them. Say Coach Herba at Binghamton started looking at me around eighth or ninth grade. Um,
Oh, wow.
I would say school started really showing interest around my freshman sophomore year. That's when I kind of grew into my body a little bit more. The teams that were interested or the schools, Binghamton was definitely number one. They showed a lot of interest early. Um, Yale, my dad went to Yale, so I really wanted to go there.
Mhm.
So that was a top choice for me, Stony Brook. And then the biggest school was Michigan, but
Oh.
my coach immediately was like, "You're not going to play there." So I was like, "Yeah, probably not."
Yeah.
So I immediately got a recruitment visit to Binghamton, and that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. So what led to your decision to go to Bing? Was that kind of your top choice when you were talking to all these schools, or was there something that kind of separated them from the pack?
Binghamton was definitely a top choice, even before I was looking at all the other options, just because I studied engineering in high school and they had a very good
Mhm.
engineering program. So I was always valuing school first. So that's why I
Mhm.
love Binghamton because that's such a great school. And then once I showed up, the news about the $70 million facility happened when they were talking to me on the recruiting visit. So I was
Oh,
blindsided by
yeah.
that news, and it was like, how do I go anywhere else?
Yeah, nah, for
And
sure. I mean,
yeah, and then
go
I
ahead.
just
Sorry,
love the
my bad.
coaches. No, I just love the
Yeah.
coaches, and it was great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that you guys got some crazy facilities over there. I know you guys got the indoor field now too. So yeah, it's unreal what you guys got over there. So
Yeah,
we
it's
go into
beautiful.
college now. Um, what's that first fall like for you as a freshman?
It was interesting. You start to realize quickly that you're not the dude anymore. You're going from
Yep.
senior in high school now to a freshman, so it's very different. You have to kind of learn your place. Um, I was told early that I was going to have a spot to play as a freshman, so that put a little stress and a little pressure on myself. But it all ended up working out. It was
Mhm.
definitely a huge adjustment, and I would say the biggest adjustment was that velocity and just playing competition. Like everyone's just as good as you. It's not like high school where you know you're better than most players. It's a big difference.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And was there anything that you feel you needed to make an adjustment to, like mechanically, swing wise, or defensively, anything mentally?
I would say every part of my game. I mean, the game speeds up so much more. People kind of forget that it's a huge jump. I'm facing 80 top and 85 in high school, and no one throws under 86.
Yeah.
So it was a huge adjustment to the speed of the game and the velocity of the pitchers. I had to make adjustments definitely with my swing. Um, I felt like I just was always late, so I had to shorten my swing a little bit, learn a different type of timing, to help myself at the Division I level. Um, and mentally, I mean, my sophomore year was kind of, or actually, my freshman summer, I wanted a huge jump on my mental part of the game because I felt like I uh, I would get down on myself easily, and just the difficulty of the game kind of gets to you. I worked
Mhm.
with Tom Brady's sports psychologist,
Oh wow.
which is an unbelievable experience, and he taught me a lot. And I felt like my mental part of the game helped a lot from my sophomore to senior year.
Yeah, sounds good. So correct me if I'm wrong. Your freshman year, you guys win the tournament, correct?
Yeah,
Yep. So talk about that experience. It being your first year in college, you guys win the tournament, and you go to Stanford. What was that whole experience like?
dude, it was unreal. It's weird because like you come into college and you you want to win a championship, but you don't really know how hard it is to win. So
Yeah.
winning it right away almost felt like it was normal. But I do remember halfway through the season we were 1-7 to start conference, and my parents came up, and I'm like, this might be the worst team I've ever played for. And we ended up winning the next 13 straight. It was also just a great feeling because I got to play every single game as a freshman. So, a championship's so much more when you're on the field. Um,
Mhm.
so going up there, we had no expectations, and somehow we got a 2 seed from Stony Brook not being able to be in the tournament, and then Maine just falling off. So we ended up
Mhm.
winning a championship, and then Stanford was just an unbelievable experience. We got to play against Brock Jones, Brandon Montgomery, some huge studs. I was in Stanford as number two,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. They were gross that year.
yeah, and even though we lost, they missed the extra point. They won 20 to
Yeah.
7. It still was a fun game.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a cool experience. So you finish your freshman year, sophomore year is kind of where you kind of start to pick it up a little bit. So what kind of did you improve to, eventually become that all conference player that I got to see, playing against you? It's always your name was always circled on, the scouting reports, things like that. So talk to me about like what you changed and what you kind of learned.
It was definitely working a lot on my swing. Early in my career, I still was a little immature. Um,
Hmm.
my sophomore year, I'd say my biggest change was I went more wide with my stance, try to help with my load and my timing. And I played really well the first half, and I felt like I almost figured it out. And then big slump came. And then
Hmm.
summer ball, I played really well. And then my junior year, that almost felt like the year that everything's supposed to come together. Um, and I started off really hot and then just went ice cold to the point where I almost got benched.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think I hit rock bottom where I'm like, screw everyone. And then I end up finish the season with crazy numbers. I would say I don't feel like I figured it out until my senior year.
Hmm.
Um, I worked with a pro hitting coach named Brandon Barnes, and I credit so much to him with working on my swing, working on hitting inside pitches better, getting me more narrow to be more athletic, and above all else, just the mental part of the game was a lot more mature, and I knew what I had to do. I didn't put too much pressure. I felt like junior year I put a lot of pressure on myself
Hmm.
because they're telling me you got to be our 3, 2, 3, or 4 hitter, and you got to show up every day, and it's not always easy to put that on your shoulders. So working on my swing a lot, and then my mental part of the game helped me get to where I wanted to be senior year.
Yeah, for sure. And so, you know, I don't mean this in a bad way. You're not the biggest guy, but you definitely showed a lot of power in your swing. What did you do, in the off season or I see on your online program you do like those PVC kind of training like the nervous system to twitch like that. What was kind of your routine to unlock that power?
Yeah, I wasn't a huge lifting guy when I came
Mm.
into college, just because I played basketball too, and like lifting during basketball season, so I really didn't have much time. And I realized I was small. I came in 170 pounds. Um, and meeting with my lifting coach, Brian McGovern was our lifting coach here. He did an outstanding job, and we had our goals in mind. And I got up to 185 pretty quick. Um, just being able to gain some muscle and working out and really taking lifting seriously. So I
Mm.
gained the mass quickly, definitely from lifting a lot. But the I think the numbers really took off power wise when I started now focusing my strength on baseball wise. The PVC pipe, medicine balls, um, the Kaiser press doing highs and lows, all these baseball core exercises, and moving my central nervous system as fast as possible. I felt like doing that stuff really allowed me to succeed with power numbers late in my career.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And so, we keep talking about your senior year. What was like your mentality going into that year? What was kind of your some of the goals you had, and what led to that awesome year you had?
I would say I was coming off of summer with the Sanford Maters in the NACBL, and I batted 358 and had I think seven home runs. So I had an outstanding summer. So I told myself, okay, what am I doing now, mentally wise, that allowed me to stay as consistent as possible? And it came down to just like having fun and not feeling any pressure. So with all the pressure that coaches put on us, especially in college, I had to figure out a way to kind of zone it out. And I feel like that was what I was able to do. And just taking a leadership role, I was a captain senior year. So you got to keep your head in all the time. You always got to be positive because you have an important role. So I feel like that almost helped my own game because I was always positive. And I didn't have this roller coaster season. I just stayed the course. I started the season batting 200 the first 3 weeks. And I went to my hitting coach. I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm having good ABs. I just can't find a hit.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I've been there.
then I know. And next weekend, I end up going 4 for 4 and 4 for 5 against Holy Cross. And that's when the season really took off. So I just didn't put much pressure on myself. And no matter what coaches were saying, no matter what guys were saying, I just stayed my course and stayed in the moment. And goals wise, I went in expecting to, my goal was 330 with 10 plus home runs. And I definitely reached it with 352
Yeah.
with 13 pumps. And my other
Hmm.
goal was I want to get drafted because after my summer, I was on the radar with some teams
Hmm.
and ended up being draft day was the worst day of my life. But it was still a great experience to be a part of the MLB draft.
Hmm.
Um, so those were kind of my goals for the senior year,
Yeah.
and it all worked out.
Yeah. So speaking of, this same year, your team pretty loaded, offensively. Talk about kind of the offensive like mentality and kind of I don't know how to put it. Just kind of like how close were you guys together? How'd you guys gel as a lineup? And obviously in the tournament, you guys turn it up even another notch. So talk about like that experience and what it felt like to have that offense click and then win the tournament.
On paper, it was interesting. Like we knew we had some good hitters, but I mean, we found out pretty early we had a stacked lineup of hitters. I mean,
Hmm.
we put up so many records for our school numbers wise,
Hmm.
with home runs, RBIs, all this stuff. I think we really bought into our hitting coach talk about staying on the heater and adjusting. Felt like we were part of a team that we always took the pitcher's fastball away and we're always on time for a fastball. And we forced pitchers to throw off speed. I felt like the only times we got beat, for example, Colin Fitzgerald,
Hmm.
facing him and him beating us was because he landed so many sliders. When guys
Yeah.
tried to really get ahead with their fastball, I felt like we excelled. Um, and we took pride in being very good because we knew our pitching struggled. So we
Hmm.
knew we had a saying, race to 10. Like we had to score 10
Yeah.
runs. We felt like we had to score 10 runs a game to win a game. And I think just buying into each other, buying into our hitting coach, that we were able to get that done.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say race to 10 because our tournament game is an absolute shootout. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's like, who's just gonna out hit the other at that point? Because I'm sitting in center field, I'm like, balls are flying out of the stadium, and it's like, this is unreal. So
uh,
you finish your senior year, and you play in the MLB Draft League and get a little taste of pro ball. What was that like, and how was that experience?
I'm so grateful I was a part of that. Um, it was unbelievable. It's everything you kind of expect. I would say it was copy and paste of minor league baseball. There
Hmm.
was a couple guys who were drafted previous years who were in the draft league that year because they either got released or something, and they told me it's the exact same thing as minor league baseball on the bus, whatever. It felt if it felt like professional baseball, and what I mean by that is we had huge crowds. Um, you're there at 1 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game, like it was your job. It's the best way to put
Hmm.
it. It was a job. It wasn't like college where you're doing things throughout the day and then you have the game and whatever. Like we were meeting at 1 o'clock. You're working on your swing, then you go out on the field, then you're going back and getting food, and then going back in the field. Like it was your job. But
Hmm.
from experience wise, I never had a walk off in my life, and I had three walk offs for the
Oh,
Frederick Keys, which
and that's
was
in half a summer,
unbelievable.
right?
In half the summer. Yeah, I only
Yeah,
got
that's crazy.
I got 100 ABs, and then right when the season ended, I headed back to college. But overall, I'm so happy that I didn't let the draft get me down to where I didn't want to play anymore.
Hmm.
And it was a great end of my career, and I wouldn't change a thing. I loved it.
Sounds good. Yeah. So, did you have any thoughts of playing independent ball, or was that kind of always your goal was play affiliate pro baseball, or just like I know you got you're working on your masters right now, so just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when I came to Binghamton, it was all about school, and me playing so well that I had a chance to get drafted, and when things didn't go well on draft day, um, I was trying to get signed, so that's why I played in the draft league. But
Hmm.
I told myself like if it doesn't happen and I don't get signed, I came to school to be an engineer, electrical engineer. So I knew I was going to go back for my master's because they have a 4+1 at Binghamton, so I was able to get my
Hmm.
master's in a year. So I was fine with it. It stung for a little bit, and then I realized maybe it's for the better. I mean, playing the draft league, those guys were absolute dudes. They're all guys
Hmm.
like me who played really well, and they're seniors, and every guy's throwing 95. And I was like, it's not a bad thing to go back to school, get my master's, and that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I love it.
Yeah. So, playing 4 years, you played pretty much every single game. What is like the most valuable thing you learned playing at such a high level? You got your taste of pro baseball, played 4 years, two regional appearances. What's the most valuable thing you think you learned?
Stay healthy.
Yeah.
Um, I played basically 7 or 8 seasons, counting summer ball,
Hmm.
and I didn't get injured once. So I would think your availability is so important because if you're on the field, you have a chance to play well. And when you have a chance to play well, you can play at a high level. So I would say that's number one, your availability on the field. Number two is definitely the mental side of the game. Like you play in high school, and the mental side isn't really there because you're just athletic and you're the dude. But when you
Hmm.
get to Division 1 level, you realize everyone's just as good as you or way better than you, and you really have to get better with the mental side of the game, with routine, with working on failure, working on pressure. I had a tough time with performance anxiety early in my career, and I was able to figure it out just by breathing and getting into routine every single day. So I felt comfortable in the game. So I'd say mental side is second, and then the third one is always trying to get better with your swing, with your body, with your diet, keeping your
Hmm.
body in shape, but not overdoing it, but understanding your flaws and keep working to get better with your swing. Because it has to be a different swing from your freshman to senior year, or you're never going to go to the place you want to be.
Yeah, no, for sure. So you finish up your career. Now you're running your online hitting program. Talk a little bit about that and what you got going on.
Yeah, so I got the idea after during my senior year, I worked with the guy I mentioned before, Brandon Barnes. He
Hmm.
had kind of a very similar business idea where I would get on an app with him. He'd give me a workout, and I would do maybe 10 to 12 drills. and there'd be notes there, and basically it was virtual hitting with him.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd get on calls and talk about approach and everything. And I had so much success through the stuff he has. And he learned stuff from hitting coaches that had Nolan Arenado, Jose Altuve, Cody Bellinger, all these pro guys because he played in the
Mm-hmm.
majors for 15 years. So I became really close with him, and I told him once I was done with baseball, I would love to start a business almost exactly how you have it. And he was like, dude, I'd love helping you get off the ground, giving you ideas of what to do. So my first course of action, I partnered with a company called Superset. So it's the app I run, and they were able to let me do my own things with logoing and branding the whole kind of app.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, how it works is if you were a client, I would set you up with a specific program that's tailored to you, what you want to work on. The most basic one is a 3 month program. You first work hand path for a month, then your lower half load and launch, and then the explosive move, kind of putting everything together and moving very athletic and for power. And every day you'd go on the app, you'd see your workout, you'd see a video of me doing it and explaining exactly what to feel, how to set it up, and just how to do the drill.
Mm-hmm.
And you go throughout the workout. It's usually an hour workout, and you stay the course. We usually get on weekly calls to talk about how you're feeling with your swing, um, just going over approach wise, your mental side of the game, and then players can also upload their swing for swing analysis. So I would draw on the video and put a voice memo over it and send it back to help them
Mm-hmm.
out as well. So that's kind of the idea of the program is going really well. I partnered with a program from home, a travel program. So it's going really well. I love it.
Yeah, sounds great. So I know hitting nowadays, especially with social media, it's kind of like it's kind of like a battle between, who thinks the best swing for baseball. Um, just kind of talk about what you've seen, that now that you're on the coaching side of it, where do you see like the game going, and what do you think like a hitter should be doing nowadays?
Ty, it's so annoying because I just started social media and like one of my videos, the first comment is Aaron Judge's hitting coach. And he
Teacher man,
goes,
yeah.
yeah,
I
teacher
saw
man. And
this.
he
I saw this. Yeah.
and he goes, neither. And I talked to Brandon Barnes, who he hit with teacher man, and it almost got him out of Major League Baseball. That hitting
Mm-hmm.
philosophy didn't work for him. So what I'm kind of seeing from the coaching view is there's so many tips, and there's a lot of different ways to be successful at a very high level hitting. Um, but you got to understand your body first, and a true coach understands a player's swing and
Mm-hmm.
understands how they move and then works from there on how to make them the best player they can be, rather than someone like Teacherman teaching a idea that Aaron Judge
Yeah.
hits like, and having a 12-year-old do that. Well, that 12-year-old doesn't hit the ball 120 miles an hour, so it makes no sense he has that kind of moves. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't help social media by posting drills and feel wise.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but at the same time, it is good because players should see tips and be like, oh, that could help my swing, or oh, maybe that's not good for my swing. But the best piece of advice, as a coach now is have structure. We stay the most consistent when we have structure and a plan. Um, it's just learning from the right people, and sometimes it's tough to tell. But
Mm-hmm.
working on the right things and having a plan, either through someone that you may know, maybe a facility or online, but having some structure so you know exactly what you're trying to get better at.
Yeah, no, for sure. You can get into a rabbit hole when looking at like swing tips and all this stuff, especially on Twitter and even Instagram
Yeah.
now. I see it everywhere. I scroll and it's like teacher man this or don't use your back leg this like it's actually insane. And I just try and like avoid. I'm like I'm not even get. I know some hitting coaches from my hometown. They post on social media. Teacher man's going in their comments saying this and that, and it's like yeah, whatever. Just
He's
not
a, he's
even.
a troll. He's a troll, bro.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Because
He's funny. Yeah.
yeah, I don't like the idea that people try and it's like one swing for every client that they have. I don't think that's right. because, like you said, a 12-year-old is not Aaron Judge. Like
Well, see,
that's just
I would never be against like Teacher Man. What he taught Judge, it works for him because the dude's 6'8", 280 pounds, and he's trying to figure out what launch angle and what
mhm,
exit velocity he can miss hit a ball and still get out of the park. So
mhm,
he wants to live like if his highest exit velocity 120, he wants to be at 100 as a miss hit and then live at whatever launch angle that can leave at 30, 35. And that's kind of how he's shaped his swing. But Teacher Man, he can't teach that kind of philosophy to young kids and snap the barrel rearward or whatever. And just,
yeah,
I don't believe
yeah,
in
it's
that.
crazy. Yeah. So yeah, you talk about a little bit about analytics. What's your take on analytics in the game now? You know, it's definitely ramping up a lot in the past couple years. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm in the middle. I think they're very important for a lot of reasons, especially scouting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know as a player too, if you have an idea of percentage wise what a pitcher's going to throw, his location, those are huge metrics you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Pitchers need metrics on uh, hitters. Like I felt like late in my career, they knew exactly what I couldn't. I couldn't hit a high fastball, so they're attacking high fastballs.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the metrics that you should have. Pitchers on TrackMan should know how their pitch spins. I think hitters should know um, kind of their exit velocities and all that sort of stuff. That being said, I don't think you should be consumed by them
Mm-hmm.
because the name of the game as a hitter is to get on base and find the barrel.
Yep.
And I feel like MLB is going way too much in the analytics. Um, I talked to a team that was really onto me, the Detroit Tigers. What they told me was um, my percentage with exit velocity, all the like. I think it was something with I think it was average exit velocity. Like it's a little lower percentage that than what we're
Mm-hmm.
expecting. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I get
that's
on base and I
crazy.
get the average you're looking. So these small little things they bring up, they're looking almost too deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I find a lot of value in it. But it shouldn't be make or break if you like a
Yeah.
player, if a player should play. I just
Mm-hmm.
saw a video of Clemson, their head coach brought a player in and talked about how he moves and the analytics with
Yeah.
everything and his chase rate. All that stuff I feel like is very important.
Mm-hmm.
But going too much into it where you're not going to pick players or you're not going to look into a player or playing them because of numbers like that, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, no, I feel like definitely in scouting nowadays, like if say an MLB scout, coming out to watch you, you got to be put into like a database or like a whatever equation or formula they have before they even think of like moving forward with anything. And I yeah, it's crazy. I
I
feel
know.
bad for some of these players that kind of like you just said, like an average exit velo should not affect an outcome of your career.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah. So before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to shout out or promote?
No, I would say probably my hitting business.
Mm,
Um, if if anyone needs anything, it's DB Precision Hitting. That's my account, DB underscore precision underscore hitting. All my stuff's there. My website. Um, I also do the one-on-one coaching as well. So that's specifically if you don't want anything with your swing mechanics, getting on calls, talking about the mental side of the game. Because I learned a lot with Tom Brady, sports psychologist. So teaching a lot of that, just my
mhm.
experience from pro ball and playing. So anything with baseball wise, I'd love to help out anyone who needs it. And can't thank you enough for having me on too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you to everyone listening. We'll catch you on the next episode and see you guys later.